Hello, friends. Okay, so we're gonna do how to make a seamless pattern using a fabric swatch as our base image, right? So last time we were making them from scratch. This time I've scanned 4 different fabrics for you to play with. So you will pick one of them and then figure out how to turn it into an endless repeat of magic, okay? I will start with this top one, and then after I do this one, which is just like a yellow grid, a yellow checkerboard situation, I'm gonna do this one down here at the bottom, which is a little bit different, okay? But each of these will have its own sort of strategy to work on it, and I'm going to give you the tools you need, and then you can do one of them yourself. That's the plan, so you'll just download one that you choose. Oh hey, pattern work. I made a folder just like that. Pattern test, right? Remember that was the one where we like put the whole pattern on the thing? So let's open another file from my fabric swatches download. We're going to open this darling, beautiful yellow checkerboard pattern. All right. So this is real fabric, right? So it's a little wrinkled and a little bit wonky. And so we want to pick the smoothest section, and whoever scanned it next time should probably iron it before they scan it, right? So that the whole thing is smoother. But here we are living in the real world. So it looks to me like this section up here is probably the smoothest section of this one, okay? So I'm gonna just grab the little crop tool, bring it in, and I'm going to go ahead and crop to that space, all right? And now I can zoom in, Control plus. Okay. So now I have a relatively even, flat version, right? But as you can see, it's not perfectly vertical and perfectly horizontal, right? So it won't make a good repeat right now. And we can demonstrate that by, as we have been before, we go up to edit and we say define pattern, and we can say wonky yellow thing. You're not even going to do this, I'm just showing you. Wonky yellow thing is this pattern, right? When we come over to pattern test and turn this into a regular layer, and then we go to the cookie and we say, hey, pattern me please, and we choose wonky yellow pattern. It looks dumb, right? It doesn't look like it makes any sense at all. Even if we scale it down, right? Because you can play with the scale. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. It still looks pretty whack, right? It does not look like a beautiful even pattern yet. We have issues around the edges where it's a little crinkly, so maybe we should crop it more. And then we also have the lines going like this a little bit. So let's go in and we're going to tweak it a little bit more, right? So I'm going to go all the way over past that edge that was wonky, because that's not helping me. And then we're going to do some correction to try and make it vertical and horizontal. And the way we're going to start is we're going to grab some guides. And you should be able to just grab them. Oh, we don't have, I see what I did. I see what he did. Okay, it's fine. View. I want to see my rulers. Where are they at? Show those rulers. Thank you. So now I can just go over, click on that ruler, and I can drag out a guide. And that's going to be perfectly straight up and down. Amazing, right? So I can tell if my lines are perfectly straight up and down, right? So I can tell that left to right, it's not terrible. Vertically, it's a little bit of mess, right? Because like this line seems like it would be in a good spot, and then by here, it's in the middle of that section, right? So we're gonna hit Control T or Command T. Oh, we're a background layer. We can't do that. Hold on. We gotta convert this to a normal layer. Layer 0. Now let's try Control T. Oh, so much better, right? Change the shape, right? I want to warp it instead of just shrinking it and making it taller. I want to actually skew the lines until life is straight. And on a PC, I hold down Control to do this, and my pointer, see, it was like a diagonally thing, and it turns into just a pointy thing with a white arrow. this lets me move this around freely, so I'm skewing it now, okay? This is also helpful if you're trying to like fake perspective when you're drawing things for like design. So I'm gonna just use this to line this edge right up on that guide that I created, and I'm actually gonna line it up 2 places, right? I'm gonna line it up on this spot right here, okay? Then I'm going to do the same thing with this top corner. I'm going to just tweak it so that it lines right up along that edge, okay? So now this line is going straight down that whole edge. Awesome, fabulous, right? Now as we look over here, we have some issues still. I'm going to grab this corner and I'm going to pull it down right there. I'm also going to move this guide, right, because I don't want to change the squares pattern. I want to keep them straight. So I'm going to move this guide to here so that I can more easily line up this bottom edge. Okay, so now I've lined myself up in all of these places. I'm going to hit enter, or you can click, there's a check mark up here that went away when I hit enter, in order to get it perfectly perfect. Okay, now I'm going to grab my crop again, and I'm going to crop just to the inside edge, right? So I might even move, actually no, I'm gonna crop right to there, to that guide. Let's hit enter and see what that looks like. Great. And then on this side, you see it's the same edge. So I'm gonna crop again, just to that edge, so that it's the end of the repeat. And here, I'm gonna do the same thing. I just need to move my guide so that both of them are sitting just below the line of yellow beautifulness, right, on top of the white. And then I'll use my crop and it'll snap to those guides that I created. Okay? So now we have something that starts with a yellow stripe, right, ends with a white stripe on both sides. And let's go ahead just for fun and see if this works as a clean pattern for us, right? So we're going to go to File, Edit. We're going to define pattern again, okay? And this is like yellow grid better, okay? So this one should be a little better. Let's go back to our pattern test page, and we're going to just double click on that picture of a pattern, and we're going to replace it with this version. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot better, but you still see the lines, right? You can see them, right? It's not just me. Where the pattern repeats. Zoom in, right? We can still see this little line here where it looks almost like a fold because the whole pattern is repeating at that point, right? So we're going to go back in and we're going to remember that offset trick we were doing before. We're going to use that again in order to clean up this top edge, right? The left to right edge actually looks okay, right? It looks pretty smooth and seamless all the way across. It's really just the top edge that we want to mess with. So we're going to grab our offset tool, which if you remember is up here in Filter, Other, Offset. And we're going to leave this horizontal alone, and we're going to just shift this vertical, right? Now you can see that line. We've got a decent little wraparound going, so now we see this line right here. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so I can see it better, right? And it's looking kind of like it just doesn't quite perfectly align right there, okay? So what we can do to clean this up, so if you come over here and you grab this clone stamp tool, right? And the line is on the bottom edge of one of these rows. So I'm going to just make my clone stamp tool nice and big. It has a soft edge. That's going to help me out. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt to get a little crosshairs. I'm going to click, right? So now I have a corner that I can kind of line up where I'm trying to fix it. Right? And now I'm able to just clean up that one line. And it's a little bit wonky still up here. So maybe I'll do a little bit of a vertical clone stamp situation. So I'll just kind of come in and put that vertical edge a little bit better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better, I think. So Let's see what this looks like as a pattern. Edit, define pattern. It's a great name, right? Go into my pattern test. Let's see if this is better. Look, you guys, that's, I think, about as good as it gets, right? Control minus. It looks like one even piece of fabric. It has a little bit of a wrinkle to it. That's because I didn't use an iron. This is the same basic strategy or technique that you would use for your striped pattern or the one with the dots, right? You just want to find that repeat, that place that it repeats, copy that spot, copy that, crop it in to where it repeats, and then you want to use the offset tool to erase or to show the lines of the repeat so that then you can erase and correct, okay? And if you have an issue where it's a squiggly, like see how there's like this squiggly going in the vertical, you can tweak that by holding down control and skewing ever so slightly, and then you can correct it again. So you just want to play with it until it looks like a nice, beautiful pattern. We're going to do one more. That's going to be that tweed fabric, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and open that file right now. This one is going to use a slightly different tool. So this is tweed, right? I'm tweed. Okay, so now we're doing the same steps again, and I grabbed my rulers, put some guides in, I tweaked the edges to make the weave straight so you're warp and weft, and now we're back. So this is not terrible. Now I'm going to go get that offset tool. Remember that offset tool that we've used before? Filter, other, offset. And I'm going to just go, let's go back to 0. I'm going to go from this top corner to the middle. Okay, so now you can see that's the seams, right? You can see that little crisscross there in the middle because I've got wraparound going, right? So now I'm like, okay, there's the lines that will appear if I were to make this into a pattern. So now I'm going to grab this lasso tool, which is a selection tool, and I'm going to just kind of loosely lasso a plus sign around those lines, because I don't want them. They're not my favorite lines ever, right? So I've loosely lassoed this plus sign. I'm going to go back up here to to edit. Then I'm going to go to content aware fill. This is a magic trick which will fill in and clean up our content, okay? We're going to just click OK. And it's going to do some Photoshop magic with the spinny wheel for a minute. And what it should do is basically clean that edge up and erase it with a filled in section of the same stuff, but no plus sign, right? So now when I deselect, so it's kind of randomized it, it's kind of erased that vertical and left to right line, okay, and it did it as its own layers. Let's take this situation and define it as our new pattern. Okay, define pattern, please. And this is going to be tweed. And then let's test it out and see how it does. So double clicking in here, I'm just going to go pick that tweed pattern. Look at that! Yay! It's a tweed pattern, right? It's not perfect. You can tweak it more, or you can just move on with your life, right? But this will work great for like a piece of fabric in a project, right? On a pair of pants or something. So the end of that was terrible and I deleted it, but what I need you to do now that you have a seamless fabric pattern is export that full page, just like we did before, as a PNG and upload it to that patterns project on Schoology, and then that's going to be it for today. Because I, don't even know anymore. I will see you guys soon. All right, talk to you later. Bye.